Let's start off our day with something wonderful or hear a story about someone being marvelous. Let's make today Wonderless. This is the show that gives you a daily dose of happy, uplifting, feel-good stories from around the world. Welcome to another episode of Wonderless News. I'm Hoyt Christopher. Let's get right to it. So our first segment is marijuana legalization is linked to many positive public health outcomes, according to a new study. This is really interesting. This study was done between 2013 and 2021. And what they found was that cannabis legalization has statistically lowered the rates of suicide, binge drinking, traffic fatalities, and perhaps, ironically, cannabis use in teenagers. That's right. Wow. So you know that cannabis as a recreational product is available in 18 states in the U.S. and 36 states medically. So as you can tell, a lot of states and the citizens have voted to have recreational, medical, or both in their states. This study helps show that there is a reduction in certain areas to problems that we have faced in our states with different things. I mean, suicide, binge drinking, all those things that are important to us to lower. So what we see now is that maybe it's not so bad, right? I mean, the federal government still doesn't allow it, still does not see it as anything but a Schedule I drug, which is horrible and ridiculous, but that's another show and another segment. So it's good to see that this study's been done over the last, over 10 years, and that we're showing these reductions. It's something to discuss and to continually wonder, what if cannabis was legal in all 50 states? What if cannabis was federally descheduled from a 1 classified drug or narcotic to a 3? Right? Or something that could be studied more thoroughly medically and be more widely available. Imagine the potential of this product being available for businesses. Imagine the tax benefits for the state and the government to reduce our deficit. There's so many things that we could do with this product, and we're starting to see it. It's taken a long time, and there's obviously some bigger powers at play that do not want this to be known or that don't want it to be readily available like it is. Oh, the light. So great segment. Hold on. I got to hold my light here for a second. Great segment. Okay. So next one. Sisters who were put up for adoption after World War II are united after 75 years apart. Incredible. So at the end of World War II, 1946, these two sisters were separated. They were just infants and adopted by two different families. They did not know that they had a sibling. It's been that long. One of the sons of one of the sisters decided to do one of those DNA tests. And when doing it, the son Mark said, Mom, guess what? I discovered that you have a half sister. She's like, what? So he went through the process of finding his mother's half sister, and they've been reunited, and it's incredible. This DNA test has opened up so many possibilities and provided this new introduction. I mean, imagine if you didn't know you had another sister or brother. Even if it is a half, it doesn't matter. The point is that 70 years went by, and now these last parts of their life they get to spend together, and they get to really take those last years with all the stories too, right? I mean, imagine that, all the stories that you get to talk about growing up, two different families. One thing one of the sisters said, she said it was like, meeting her for the first time, it was like looking in the mirror. They enjoy the same hobbies. They're not twins, obviously, but enjoying the same things, looking very similar, having some of those physical genetic characteristics. So great story. Love that. All right. Next is our Wonderless moment of the day, brought to you by Rise by Shaman Angelina. And this is now Shaman Angelina. She has this amazing site on Etsy with incredible jewelry that She makes all handmade. Everything's unique. Check it out. The link to her site is in the description of the show. So check that out on YouTube or any of the podcast platforms that you can find Wonderlous News. In the meantime, this is going to be a video of a train. All right, check it out. Wow. Trains. We don't have enough of them in the US. What's going on? I think that trains are going away in the US, but they're constantly multiplying in other parts of the world. Europe, of course, and China. What's wrong, US? I mean, I would take a train. I'd take a train to just about anywhere if it was comfortable and it was cool enough and it was fast, right? That's the other thing. It has to be fast. So, all right. So our next segment is more efficient way to suck up CO2 from the air is by storing it in baking soda and water. Okay. Wow. So obviously with what we're seeing with, the environment and floods and fires and hurricanes and tornadoes, I mean, we can all agree that something is going on. Well, everyone's got their opinion, but science says that a lot of this is because of the increase in CO2 in the atmosphere. How do we lower it? And they've discovered that actually adding, I think it's mercury, adding mercury to this component, and I could be wrong about mercury, but you know what? You can check out the show and the link, actually helps pull the CO2 out, captures it from the air, and then turns it into baking soda, which they can then place into the ocean, right? So it's this renewable scent. So it says, copper. I did say that, right? No, I said mercury, so copper. The addition of copper converts the captured CO2 to a harmless baking soda that could be stored in the oceans or turned into sellable product. I mean, hello, we're going to make baking soda from capturing CO2. I mean, this is a business right here, and it's helping the environment. These are good stories. This is a good one. Look, we got to keep figuring out ways to capture CO2, using more renewable energy, trying to be more efficient, not relying only on fossil fuels. And I say not only because I don't believe that removing fossil fuels completely is how we're going to get there, at least not right now, maybe in the near, in the distant future. But let's be more mindful of that. And it's a great story, and it makes me feel good. Feel good that, hey, more baking soda for all of us. Put in our refrigerators to keep the smells out. All right, so this brings us to the Wonderlous thought, which is going to be about reducing CO2 responsibly. What does that mean, right? I mean, this is one way, very scientific and technical, even creating baking soda from it, which is great. But, doing our part, right? Doing little bits. I think we haven't talked about on this show, but I'm sure other shows have, and programs that you've seen or heard. It's just little things. Like I try to make it a point now, oddly enough, and this is just recycling, right? So I try to make it a point to rinse out my jars and containers before I put it into the recycling bin. I didn't used to do that. I was like, no, I don't care about that, but I do it now. And there's other things I try to do consistently to help reduce that. I mean, my wife and I, we don't drive as much as we did before living where we live. So that's, obviously something that's nice. And that means we're not polluting the air constantly with our car, but you got to have a car, and we don't have an electric car yet. So we don't have that. There's just so many things we can do, right? Individually. And maybe the next step is buying a hybrid instead of a full gas, or maybe the next step is going further and buying an electric, walking less, riding a bike. Look, we got airplanes that are flying around. We got stuff with Amazon being shipped all over the world. There's so many things we need to do on a larger level, a larger scale. But most of the time, it seems that the biggest changes have to start from the ground up. And that's us. That's the people. That's the society and the communities that we live in. And there's a lot of programs, and there's a lot of great groups out there that are really trying to tackle this in the communities around them, and having that build out and spill out to other parts of the states that they live in the country. So I think we just constantly try to find little ways to reduce that carbon footprint, reduce that CO2, reduce our waste. If we all just did a little bit, right? Just did a little bit, it magnifies. The example is you in a clear, calm pond, if you will, you drop one little pebble, and that little pebble expands, and you watch it, you see those ripples go all the way across. So imagine we're all just a little pebble, and you drop ourselves into that pool, that pond, to try to make a change, and it expands, and more will follow. So anyways, listen, more to follow with the Wonderlous News. I want to hear your story. I need to hear a story from you, something cool, something fun, something great, something good, something positive. So send it to us here at wonderlessnews@gmail.com. Like and subscribe and follow and watch the show on YouTube. Check us out on our podcast platforms. We have our video podcast on Spotify. We're on TuneIn and Apple and Google. You name it, you'll find us. Anyways, until next time, thanks for watching and listening. I'm Hoyt Christopher, and this is Wonderless News. I will see you tomorrow.